very warm welcome to Thorough Newspaper Analysis, which is presented to you by Laws Eco. So, today we'll discuss important articles from the newspaper of 12 July 2021. It is presented to you by Laws Eco. We have two important articles of the day. The first article is titled as A Kerala Model for an Anti-Discrimination Law. This article is from The Hindu. It is beautifully written by Dr. Sashi Tharoor and Arvind Kurian Abraham. It talks about the discrimination which is very prevalent in Indian society and what is the Kerala model for anti-discrimination and how this model can also be taken by other states in order to address this problem of discrimination in our country and society. The second article is titled as Staying Within the Lines. This article is written by Sudeep Mahajan. It is a very nice article from the Indian Express. It talks about judicial activism and the recent judgment which has been taken in the coronavirus pandemic second wave situation by the courts in India. This newspaper analysis is presented to you by me. My name is Ankita Parida. I am manager for social media outreach and free content and also a current affair expert working with Lawseco. You can reach out to me at my LinkedIn or Twitter handle, which is mentioned here. Moving to the MCQ section of the day, it talks about amendment to the Bar Council of India rules which govern the professional conduct and etiquettes of advocates were notified. They render advocates liable for disciplinary proceedings for your options are option A, making disparaging statement about a court. Option B, disparaging making disparaging statement about judges. Option C, making disparaging statement about Bar Council of India or State Bar or its members. And option D, all of the above. You can write your answers in the comment section. The descriptive question for the day is a comprehensive anti discrimination legal framework is required to fill the existing legal lacuna. Comment. You can write your answers in 250 to 300 words. For free study materials and TNA PDF slide, please join our Telegram group. This is our new Telegram group, and you can get the link to this Telegram group in the description of this video. And also, you can scan the code from here and join the group. Also, you can follow us on Laws Eco Judiciary, Laws Eco Clad Prep, and UGC Net Laws Eco are 3 pages on Instagram for more such updates. So, moving to the first article of the day, we talk about the need for anti discrimination law in India. It has been seen that discrimination has been a very intricate part of the society of India since a long time. And today, we are at such a modern state. However, the discrimination part of our society has not been gone yet. There has been seen that homes are not given rent to many people who are of the minority committee, and even the qualified professionals are rejected for a job because they use wheelchairs. Also, students are denied facilities on campus because they belong to a certain caste or ethnicity, and even the excuses are so lame that air hostesses are dismissed for being above a weight deemed desirable, even though the male stewards or the pursuers are of that weight continue in their jobs. So this has been a very prevalent thing which is very noticeable in Indian society, and there has been recurring instances of discriminations. So let's talk about the forms of discrimination. There have been common discrimination based on many criterias. For example, there has been discrimination based on ethnicity, race, caste, color, physical appearances. Even if they are homosexuals, they are discriminated, and it has so much sin and it is so common in society that it has created a silent segregation on the ground of these aspects. And also these include marital status, sexual orientation, and even the eating preferences. The Housing Discrimination Project at the Jindal Global Law School has shown that there has been extensive housing discrimination in our country, and also it has been reiterated by Pew Research Center report, which has confirmed that substantial number of Indians prefer not to have persons from different religious community as their neighbors. However, today we are at a juncture that we do not have a proper legal recourse against this kind of discrimination in our society. Though Section 377 of the IPC was read down by the Supreme Court and it had given some kind of relief to the LGBTQ community. However, still they are largely discriminated across the country in a very strong manner. Even the constitution is not very well equipped to deal with this kind of situation, as our Article 15 subclause 1 of the Constitution of India prohibits the state from discriminating against individuals on the basis of certain protected characteristics such as religion, race, caste, sex, place of birth, but it does not bar private individuals or institutions from doing what the state is not permitted to. For example, if somebody does not want to rent their property to a minority community or LGBTQ, then they can opt to do that, and they are not they are not also infringing into the domain of Article 15 subclause 1. Also, Article 15 does not expressly list these kind of discrimination like ethnicity, linguistic identity, nationality, marital status, sexual orientation, disability, physical appearance, and other such personal characteristics which a person is not equipped to change, and it is from their birth or from the previous background they come from. Last April, the Supreme Court in the Patan Jamil Wali versus State of Andhra Pradesh recognized intersectional discrimination as well. What is intersectional discrimination? So it has basically been seen that the Dalit women are being discriminated amongst the Dalit communities. So this kind of intersectional sectional discrimination has also not been dealt under Article 15. So therefore, we really need a legal remedy and a comprehensive anti-discrimination legal framework in order to address this kind of situation, and then only India can be one of the few liberal democracy with such a framework, with making it truly inclusive society. Even this was reiterated by the Sachar Committee in 2006, which recognized anti-discrimination law, and also it was reiterated by the expert group on Equal Opportunity Commission headed by N.R. Madhavan Menon, which was again proposed by the United Progressive Alliance cabinet or the UPA government, but it was taken aback by the present government in 2014. So based on this, the author of the article, Dr. Sashi Tharoor, has given this idea of introducing the anti-discrimination equality bill, and he had drafted the anti-discrimination and equality bill in 2016. However, it was not taken further, and therefore the bill lapsed in 2019. And again, it has come to the notice that he has been assisting the Kerala government to draft such kind of model bill so that it can also be taken by other states. He has to say here that the states have a very vital role in strengthening the right to equality, and because this comes under the exclusive domain of the state, and under entry 8 of list 3 of the 7th schedule of the constitution, the states can enact an anti discrimination law, but it is very difficult for the center to cover this domain because it is very vast, and only the state can take very immediate steps to cater to this problem. And Kerala is one of the best placed state to take this proposal forward. And the CPIM government in 2019 also in its manifesto had promised that as to enact the anti-discrimination law, which covers the private and public sectors as well. So let's talk a little bit about the bill that has been crafted for Kerala. So, with the assistance of professor from the Oxford University, they have drafted an anti-discrimination bill for the Kerala government to eh, consider in introducing in the state legislature assembly in the upcoming time. And this bill prohibits employer, landlords, traders, service providers, private persons performing public functions and public authorities from discriminating on grounds of caste, race, ethnicity, descent, sex, gender identity, gender expression, pregnancy, sexual orientation, religious identity, tribe, disability, linguistic identity, HIV status, nationality, and even marital status and dietary preferences, and even skin tone, physical appearance, place of residence, place of birth, and age or analogous characteristics which are beyond the control of individual or those that constitute a fundamental choice. So this bill also brings or introduces a balance in anti-discrimination and mandate of other rights guaranteed under the constitution, and based on it it can put legitimate restrictions based on certain things. The bill also introduced affirmative action provision whereby the public authorities are obliged to progressively realize diversification of their workforce by recruiting members of disadvantaged sections excluded from society such as transgender person or person with disabilities. Given the backlog of judicial system, the bill establishes a Kerala Equality Commission to adjudicate complaint and to provide policy recommendation to the state government as well. So, if this bill is enacted, it will be the largest expansion of civil rights in the state. And as we know, anti-discrimination law is not the only panacea for this problem of inequality and social prejudice. However, though these are deeply rooted in our society, but these steps are nevertheless very essential in order to make a discrimination free society in India. Moving to the second article of the day, it talks about separation of power between judiciary and legislative and the actions taken by the judiciary in the recent past in the wake of coronavirus second wave pandemic and judicial activism which has been seen in this scenario. So recently, a division bench of Delhi High Court has observed that it will hang any person who tries to obstruct oxygen supply to hospitals in Delhi. The second instance is Madras High Court said on April 27 that the election commission is singularly responsible for second wave and should probably be tried on murder charges for its failure to ensure adherence to COVID-19 protocol. And the third instance to state here is the Delhi High Court on June 1, while directing the government to prioritize young people over older ones when it came to administering the mucormycosis drug, and it observed that young are the future of the country and need to be saved while elder have lived their life. So here we see there is a clear scene of judicial activism in this sphere, and also the courts have taken very active steps in order to address the coronavirus pandemic, and this has been talked about in this article. So the Supreme Court has later constrained to call all this observation as harsh and inappropriate. As we know, these are the giving punishment to the any person or making some kind of allegation on the election commission. These are kind of domain of the legislature to take up, and it is not under the hands of the judiciary to arbitrarily give any kind of punishment for anything which is not stated in the law. So therefore the Supreme Court had later said these are very harsh and inappropriate decisions taken by the high courts. And also the Supreme Court further has emphasized that there is a need for judges of superior courts to exercise restraint. So it is very important for the superior court judges to put restraint on such kind of activities rather than going for judicial activism in this kind of state. The question is, however, what causes the higher judiciary at times to take such kind of step? It has been actually long accepted, even by verdict of apex court, that the courts are not ordinarily to interfere with the policy matters of the state. However, again and again it has been seen. Some of the instances are like Census Commissioner and others versus R. Krishnamurti, where the High Court has issued direction to achieve social justice. The Supreme Court held that it is not within the domain of the court to legislate. The court have the jurisdiction to declare the law as unconstitutional, though. Again, in the Union of India versus Indian Radiological and Imaging Association, it was held that the wisdom of the legislature is in adopting the policy cannot be substituted by the court in exercise of the power of judicial review. However, judicial review cannot extend to reappropriating the efficacy of a legislative policy adopted in law which has been enacted by a competent legislature. And many more such verdicts are there, in which the question is, why do courts in law often target or neglect such pearls of wisdom? So the CGI, or the our Chief Justice of India, had made some observations on June 30th, and he has stated that the mere right to change the ruler once every few years by itself need not be guarantee against the tyranny of the elected. However, it cannot be taken to mean that the higher judiciary is allowed to have a free run even when it comes to formulating policy and the laws. For this, the primary purpose for which the people have elected their representatives. So he has very well stated that the people have elected their representative to take these major decisions, and judiciary is here to be the guide for if the legislature is not doing its part. However, it is not the part of the judiciary to make such law or take such decision based on arbitrary things. So this was all for today. Thank you very much.